Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show, Where Truth Matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us syndicated on Abundance Television. That's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. And also my friends at the radio station, the biggest country one right here in South Carolina, WZLA 92.9 FM. And I was listening to the morning show and Southern Fried Morning Show, and that's by Benji and Lacey. And Benji was talking about all of a sudden, we've got a lot of Alabama callers, and we've got a lot of Alabama people that are actually watching us online. And so I called Benji and I said, I'm going to take credit for that. And he said, well, if you'd listened further, you would have seen I did give you credit for it. So anyway, you guys also listen to Benji and Lacey early in the morning. They are absolutely awesome. We have a special guest. AP Steadham is with us. He's always a special guest. He's been with us for almost a decade, or probably over a decade by now. And it's a lot of fun. He's what I call the traveling globetrotter for sports. I mean, he's just like all over the I never know where he's going to be. So when we set up his interviews, it's always, now, what time zone are you going to be in this time? Because I have messed up so many shows by thinking it was going to be Central Time, and he would be somewhere out west or something. So what's been going on with you and with your show this week?
Hey, so glad to be here, Don. Thank you for having me on the show. Donna, last week we had a pretty cool set of guests. We had Robbie Baker. You know, Robbie used to be on TV here in Mobile, but he's out in Arizona. That's his home state out there, and he covers Arizona State. Well, their quarterback transferred, Sam Levitt, to LSU. So he knew all about the quarterback that's coming to LSU. We know that's national news. So Robbie was our guest. And then we had Paige Dower. She covers Tennessee. So she gave us all her observations and thoughts of the Tennessee Volunteers football and some basketball as well. So I know you have a lot of people listening from Tennessee as well. And everybody is listening about the LSU football program since Lane Kiffin drifted over that way in the last couple of months. So that was our main two guests. And of course, we always discuss the SEC men's and women's basketball and some other football related items. So we had a lot of fun on last week. And then this week, Donna, we're going to discuss the Kentucky Wildcats football team with John Hale. He writes for the Lexington Herald Leader. So, and then we'll discuss our usual SEC men's and women's basketball and some other related items. We can discuss them on here too, as well, about the transfer portal. Everybody's, up in arms about the transfer portal. So maybe they're going to be happy with what I'm going to tell them.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because everybody's just like going crazy about this portal.
Right.
We got going
right.
on.
So Donna, we learned that the last couple of years they used to have two transfer portal windows, January and then in the spring, but now they limited it to just that one in January. I think it was this year from the 2nd of January to the 16th. But now the rules committee, they're proposing to have severe penalty if you try to unenroll at one school, like say after the spring semester or in the summertime, and you try to transfer to another school, there's going to be a severe penalty for the football program. The football coach is going to have to sit out 6 games. I think they want 20% of your revenue. I mean, they're getting serious about this. So they want to stabilize the transfer of players to just that one window. Because when we first were visualizing this transfer portal being shut down to just or limited to the one session, I was thinking to myself, what if a student who's already been receiving name, image, and likeness money, he decides to switch schools and pay his own way or something? But so they're watching this closely, and they're going to be voting on this very soon. And so that's something that should probably make people feel happy that it's a one window limitation for the college football And if you try to transfer, it's going to be severe penalties for the program, for the football program. So they don't want to lose their coach. They don't want to lose revenue. So I think I believe it's going to be hands off unless there's some loophole, because we know coaches, Donna, they could come up with all kind of ways to slither through the rule, like we would see in life in general. People, there's a rule, but how can you circumvent the rule and still uphold your legality?
Mm-hmm. That's everything. People do that with taxes all the time, so it's not
all the time. No, it's not. Yeah, so they're experts. They're paid big sums of money to figure out the quote unquote loophole.
Well, what do you think happened? Do you think the fans just went into an uproar? Is that why they decided to go ahead and jump on the situation?
Well, I think it was so difficult for the coaches and their programs to have. You can't sleep at night. You're getting phone calls all the time, and people are poaching players. And I think that they were injuring themselves amongst the football programs, and they said we have to curb this in some form or fashion. So I think that was a rush that the rules committee addressed, and I would say all the coaches would be on board. I don't think there's a coach out there that would say, well, no, we like to have this, because you have to remember, if he's in favor of players transferring after the window in January, then people are going to come after his players as well. So the road goes two ways. So it might be beneficial in one regard for him, but it's going to be a negative because they're coming after his players as well. So I think people and the coaches and the programs, I think they would be happy with the severe penalties and punishment for people trying to transfer after the transfer portal window. That's just a one-time affair in January.
Well, I think this was one thing they should have really put more thought into before the season started.
Donna, you make an excellent point, Donna. I don't understand how, when you're reviewing the circumstances, that you don't come up with all the options to address initially when you come out with that first transfer portal rule.
Yeah.
But it seems that they rushed. It seems it's not well thought out, the entire options, I guess I would say. And then they rush and pass this legislation, and next thing you know, there's issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it just felt rushed, like they didn't put in a whole lot of time into it. And, I mean, it was like a lot I'm going to say this for them, though. I mean, that would be a lot to have to do right before the season starts. I mean, it wasn't the only issue.
No. So I just don't understand sometimes, like when we discussed this on the show before, these rules are passed maybe January, February, March, April. I don't know the exact date of some of them, but December, the coaches start complaining in December, and I'm thinking, where were you in the first of the year? Did you not communicate with the athletic director, or vice versa? What is it? Lack of communication, lack of understanding of the ramifications? I just don't get it. I don't understand how come you're yelling and screaming about something that happened 7, 8, 9 months before, and you weren't aware.
Well, let me ask you a question. So what exactly is the chain of command? Okay. When are coaches involved in decisions like that?
Yeah, a lot of times, Donna, the athletic directors, I mean, they're on the front lines per se, and the presidents, they get involved in some things as well. But it's really the athletic directors and the member institutions. But that's something you must communicate if you want input or advice or some serious thinking about a topic. That's between the athletic director and the coach of that program, whether it's football or basketball, baseball, any of the sports. So you have to be in total alignment with your director of athletics. That's a coach. If I'm a coach, Donna, I want to have an open communication with my athletic director about anything affecting my sport.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would too. It sounds like it. It's got to be a good communication thing going
Yes.
on between the coach and the athletic director. If not, I think that's probably what could be happening. Or the coach may be too busy. I mean, there's so many variables. People are people. I don't care what status they have.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's. I would say it's imperative for the coach. If I was the head coach, I would say I'm having somebody and they're in charge of making sure nothing slips through without us being notified or being, considered in the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
That's what I would say. Yeah.
But there is quite a chain of command, though, getting information to everybody.
It seems to be the case because you hear these nationally known and prominent coaches discussing a rule that was passed months in advance. And I'm thinking, well, wouldn't they have spoken up if their athletic director approached them in January and to get their advice and input and if they agreed or disagreed with that proposal? But it doesn't seem to happen.
Well, is there just and this is what's confusing to me because I would think the coaches would be right there in it. I mean, because
me too. Yeah.
Boots on the ground with them and other folks too, but mainly the coach. And it just seems like there's some kind of a communication gap there going where people, I'm not really blaming coaches. I mean, I would be a coach that would be like, whoa, wait a minute. I can see some issues happening. And I would think there was more of them if the communication trail was better.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's one of the questions. I think that as I approach the media days this summer, Donna, I think I'm going to ask some of these coaches about their communication with the rules and the athletic directors and the presidents, and what is your protocol with your staff of being advised about any changes involving your sport.
I think that would be a key one because I remember the first of the season, I remember you saying that. I remember you saying, I wonder what kind of issues might happen, and you mentioned a few things that could possibly happen. I remember this segment. And I was in there with you. I was like, well, yeah, I wonder if anybody's thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious. Yeah. I'm curious if I get many different answers. I'm curious what is going to be the answers from these head coaches when I ask them that question.
Because sometimes a coach can be, he's the king of the hill, and he doesn't necessarily listen to other people, like really listen. So it happens. Yeah,
until he runs into that situation and his chief of staff or his general manager or one of the other coaches informs him, we can't do this, or we can do this, or somebody else did this to us. Right.
Things happen. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I can't believe half the show is over. We're going to have to go into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Good afternoon, Sunshine. Medical Minute brought to you by Dr. Chuck with Lakeland's Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. So what is the Beamer? Okay, now the Beamer uses very gentle pulse to electromagnetic signals. This will stimulate healthy muscles and it supports the temporary blood flow. Now let's talk Beamer and circulation support. Now the Beamer gently supports natural circulation in healthy muscles. Now that's what I call natural health. Thank you so much for watching your Medical Minute, brought to you by Dr. Chuck. You know who he's with. He's with Lakeland's Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. I hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the afternoon. You take care. Good afternoon, Sunshine. Your Realtor Moment is brought to you by Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams of Greenwood, helping families buy and sell with confidence right here in the Lakelands. Now, if you're thinking about selling, don't automatically start renovating. Many sellers overspend on updates buyers don't even value. So before you touch a thing, talk with your local market expert who knows exactly what buyers are looking for right now. Jenny can help you price it, prep it smart, and market it professionally across multiple platforms. For a free consultation, call Jenny Ferguson today and let your next move be your best move. Thank you so much for watching your Realtor Moment, brought to you by Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams of Greenwood, helping families buy and sell with confidence right here in the Lakelands. Have a super duper awesome blessed day.
Lowe's knows that the projects you build in spring are the ones you can't wait to share. It's why we make sure you have our best deals with My Lowe's Rewards, and that you get help from people who've
been there,
done that.
Try this.
This spring, we'll help you build something rewarding.
Hey, Stan.
What's up?
I made you something.
Oh, thank you.
And I got something for you. You grew these?
Of course.
Lowe's knows how to help you spring.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. I mentioned the different areas you could find us, but I failed to mention you've got all the social media sites there as well. Facebook.com/DFeasel. Continue sending email. It just makes my day. And I think AP likes it too, even though some of you guys have sent the same thing over and over again. You hated this new portal. So it's out there, like you said earlier, Frontier. I mean, a lot of things we're going to have to get fixed. To have it working. But continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com. I promise you, I read every one of them. Donna@donnasedge.com. If I don't respond right then, if it takes me a few days, it's just because I get so many of them. But I do respond as quickly as possible. Okay, AP Steadham is back with us, AP as we see it. And so someone did ask me a question about how long you've been doing this. How long have you had your own show?
Yeah, Donna, that particular show is, I think it's 3, maybe going into the 4th year or something like that. I really lost track of time. I have so much fun, Donna. I don't look back that much, but, but it's been a lot of fun having the show and the outlet to discuss the issues with college athletics, college football, primarily college basketball, and the coaches and the personalities. So I try to make it interesting for myself because if I think it's interesting to me, I think it'll be interesting to the audience. Mm-hmm. And you try to get guests from across the country, and you try to get guests from the region, of course, that are in tune with college football, the SEC, primarily, but we go outside because we want to be connected. We want to be connected nationally because the SEC, they don't live in a vacuum. They play these other teams. So that's why I always feel it's important to get out to several games during the season that are outside the SEC, and then also some intersectional games. Hopefully got lined up this year. We're going to cover, and we get SEC games. Primarily, that's our role during the football season. I guess 3/4 of the time I'm at an SEC game on the weekend. So, but to answer your question, Don, I think it's 3 or 4 years with this particular show, but I've been doing this for a little while, but I guess I tell people it's been in my head since I was 10 years old. All the sports, all the facts and figures, and the thoughts and observations, and watching over the course of decades. Sports.
Yeah, my son's is one of those armchair quarterbacks, and he can tell you every sport from the beginning of football. I mean, he's got to ask him what he had for breakfast this morning, and goes, "Let's see, let me think about it." So that's what he does. He's like you; he believes football big time in all the sports. So now we talked about football. Now, what about basketball?
Yeah, basketball. Done. Let's take a little bit of a look this week. We always look at the Associated Press poll, comes out earlier in the week, and at the time of that poll, Donna, we had Florida jumped up to number 5 now. Florida, I mean, when we were discussing the last couple of weeks, I think they're around 14. They're number 5, 23-6 at the time of the poll. Alabama is number 16, 22-7. Arkansas, number 20 at 21-8. Tennessee is 20-9. They're number 23. And Vanderbilt's number 24 at 22-7. And a couple teams received votes in the poll. Kentucky had 47 votes and Mizzou had 40. So there's 5 SEC teams in the Associated Press poll this week, week 17. And there's 2 SEC teams that received votes. And Donna, right now, about 10 or 11 SEC teams are projected to be in the NCAA tournament. I don't know if some teams on the bubble are going to, maybe one or two teams who they see on the bubble. We'll see what happens, because you have to watch these other conferences. I think there's 37 conferences involved in Division I basketball, done as opposed to in football. I think it's 10 in Notre Dame, and they're independent. So that's the stand with the men's basketball. And then the women's side, they have South Carolina number 3, 29-2, Texas number 4, 28-3, Vanderbilt number 5, 27-3, LSU 26-4 is number 6, Oklahoma is number 7, 23-6, Kentucky 21-9 at 17, Georgia 22, they're 22-8, and then Ole Miss 21-10 is 24, and 2 teams receive votes. Alabama had 29 votes and Tennessee had 3 votes. So there's 8 teams in the poll on the women's side, 8 out of the 25, and projected now it's 10 or 11 as well on the women's side for the NCAA tournament. A team to watch out for is Texas A&M. They've been on a roll. They started, I think, 1-8 maybe, but they won 5 or 6 games now, so they've been hot. Texas A&M. So that's a team trying to burst that bubble and go beyond and be a member of this NCAA tournament.
I didn't hear you on the men's side. I didn't hear you mention Vanderbilt or Auburn. So Auburn flipped away. Auburn's been doing pretty good on up to this year.
Yeah, right. Vanderbilt, number 24, Donna, on the men's side. They're 22-7. They started out real hot. I think they were maybe 18-0 or something like that to start the season. So they're 22-7 at this point, number 24. And like I said, when we did the projections, the NCAA had the projections last week on the men's and the women's side. The only team that had the men's and the women in the top 16 was Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. You have to be in the tournament. So that was unique. Of all the teams in the SEC, Vanderbilt men and women were projected to be in the top 16 for the tournament. Yeah.
Well, what has happened to Auburn? Because Auburn, in the past few years, they were doing much better in basketball.
Yeah, they've been on the slide. Donna, I guess, you have a new coach. Maybe you don't have enough talent. Maybe they're not enough chemistry, but they have not been winning games, and they're in March, Donna, if you can, say you have a beginning of the season, you're not doing very well. As I mentioned, Texas A&M on the women's side. In men's or women's basketball, when it comes to March, you better be winning. Excuse me, you better be winning, because the selection committee, they take notice about teams who are doing well near the end of the season. They understand that maybe you had a young team, maybe you had a lot of transfers, which is common. So you had to come together. So, but if at the end you're sliding, that's not a good sign. And the tournament selection committee takes notice.
Oh yeah. A lot of notice out there. As far as football season, we've got about 4 minutes left in this segment, about 4.5 minutes.
Yes.
As far as football is concerned, anything else you're hearing out there? Any buzzwords about any of the SEC football teams?
Yeah,
at this point?
yeah. Here's something interesting that happened, Donna, most recently. Mark Stoops was the dean of coaches in the Southeastern Conference for a long time, along with Nick Saban. So he, is no longer the coach. They brought in Will Stein. As I said, we're going to be discussing Will Stein on our show this week. But Mark Stoops was hired as a special assistant, Donna, to the University of Texas head coach, Steve Sarkisian. So that's a big hire. To have somebody of his caliber be on your staff now, because Mark Stoops was very good. Kentucky didn't always have the best talent, but defensively, they had some good teams and produced some outstanding talent. So I think that Mark Stoops, two areas I think that he can help the University of Texas was with defensively. And they hired Will Muschamp, and that's a big hire. Will Muschamp was at Texas with Mac Brown. He was the Texas coach in waiting, but ended up going to Florida and South Carolina, and then ended up at Georgia these last couple of years. Then he took a break, but now he's back in Texas. But those are two former SEC head coaches. So I think, and they're both defensive oriented. So I think they could help Texas with the defense. And then Mark Stoops, you always had teams that can run the football, usually had teams that knew how to run the football successfully. So I think those are two big hires at the University of Texas off something that's not on the field per se, but it's coaching, which their teaching and knowledge is translated to reach the field through their players. So I think that's interesting that Steve Sarkisian, he doesn't have any fear about hiring competent former head coaches.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little Nick Saban. There's always some rumor of the month that comes out about him. And we don't listen to any of that stuff anymore. But what kind of influence or power do you think he still has remaining in college football?
Well, he has quite a few assistants that are still head coaches and became head coaches. And I think that they seek his counsel. So to that degree, he has some influence. I know Lane Kiffin called him on his move from Ole Miss to LSU. And that's one reason he mentioned about making the move to Baton Rouge and not staying in Oxford, Mississippi. So he has a weekly platform. He's on TV for the college football show. So, but I think I'm amused by the fact that people want to see him be the czar of football, because I don't see any of these commissioners giving up any authority. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and that's been the point of a lot of our listeners and folks who watch the show. So do you think he misses being coach, or is he happy where he is? No,
I think he gave it his best, and the dynamics have changed. You have the name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal. So I think he's happy with what he accomplished, and he was ready to move on. And I don't see him coaching anymore, but he's still involved in the game. He's still, every week he's somewhere giving opinions about the sport.
I think he's going to open up a little bit more about his opinions this coming season, though. I think because that's what he is. He's kind of a quiet-natured guy. He makes me think of Phil, my husband, where he sits and absorbs it, gets it all in, and then you'll start hearing from him. So I really feel that in my bones. We'll be hearing more from Saban.
Oh, yeah. If he's on TV, he'll give his opinion. He won't back down normally. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to say before we go about?
Just tune in to AP as we see it on our YouTube channel. It's on Spotify. It's on 20 to 25 stations. Check your local listings. It's on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And as always, we discuss college football, even 52 weeks a year on every show. But we do get involved in the basketball, because we'll be covering the Final Four in Indianapolis this year for the men's, and the women's, I think it's in Phoenix, Arizona, I believe. So, but the SEC is totally involved in those two tournaments with, like I say, 10 and 11 teams projected. So just keep listening, and we'll keep having fun and discussing SEC and other sports as well.
I think you just mentioned 52 weeks of the year. I think you and I are the only people who don't take off any time. But anyway, we love what we do. So there you go. Thank you, guys. Thank you, AP, for being with us. And thank you guys so much for watching. We definitely appreciate that. And you can continue sending email. It just absolutely makes my day. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. See you next time.